BeastNet Podcast, sponsored in part by James Safety Services, OCR Buddy, and supported by the fitness community. Here we discuss all things fitness related, running, rucking, mental health and preparedness, and of course, obstacle course racing. Welcome to the BeastNet.
We don't bite hard.
Hey everybody, welcome to the BeastNet podcast. This week we've got PJ on the show. He's an adaptive athlete that's been out on the course with us at More Heart Than Scars, and I want you guys to hear his story. So PJ, why don't you introduce yourself and tell us a little bit about you?
All right, my name is PJ Crouch. I'm from Chattanooga, Tennessee. I'm 29, and like Boggs said, I am an adaptive athlete. I have cerebral palsy. I've been doing OCR for about 6 months. So yeah, it's been a really cool journey so far.
What got you into OCR? 7 months ago when you were sitting in your chair, you're just like, hey, I'm going to go get muddy and put my body through extra punishment.
Well, that's pretty much how it happened. So back in April of 2024, and man, it's weird to say, I was involved with an adaptive CrossFit gym. I'm also a certified personal trainer, so I was helping that gym open with a gym member who used to be a Tough Mudder ambassador. Go, hey, I know this team that runs obstacle course races with adaptive athletes. I think the guys would really enjoy it. So we got in touch with More Heart Than Scars, and we ran a Tough Mudder in Atlanta in April. That's pretty much how it started.
Yeah, so getting out there and getting muddy ignited a little bit of passion in you?
It did. So there were 3 of us who ran the race that day, and out of the 3 of us, I'm the one who has really taken to it and officially joined the team. I ran my first official team race in August at Spartan, Asheville. So since then, I finished the year with 7 Spartans.
I see that you're wearing a jersey and a hat there that look kind of important. Do you want to tell us what that is?
So this was really cool. Back in October, we got the opportunity as a team with one of our other partners, Phoenix Race. They were hosting the first adaptive competitive heat at US OCR Nationals in Georgia. So, which is pretty much a home race for me. So, I went out with the team and I actually won the competitive heat for my disability classification. So, I guess you could say I'm the first ever seeded OCR national champion, which is really cool.
That is an awesome accomplishment to go from not doing OCR in April to winning the OCR National Championships adaptive seated heat. So that's quite the accomplishment for your first year in OCR.
Yeah, it was crazy because that month of October, the entire month of October, I raced. So that was our second weekend out. So my body was already wrecked. So to have that medal around my neck was pretty cool.
That is, a lot of people who see us out on course with the wheelchair, they think that riding in the wheelchair is easy. And I can guarantee you're going to tell me that it's not. So tell me, what's it like when we got you all hooked up and 7 of us on the team and we're rolling?
Yeah. So It all honestly depends on the course, how the course is laid out. Because sitting in the chair isn't that difficult. But like you and I just finished running Central Florida a couple weeks ago, and that was a flat course. So you'd think it'd be the easiest course we do all season. It was probably the hardest course because you can't see all the holes. If you've ever ridden in a car and gone over a pothole, that's pretty much what running over holes that are covered in grass feel like going in one of those chairs.
And there's not a whole lot of suspension on those chairs. And you were talking about Central Florida, which, yeah, it is a very fast, very flat course. And unfortunately, that means that the horse that's on the front of you is probably going a little faster than they would on a hilly course. So those bumps actually hit a little bit harder, I bet.
So, and especially with my team that I had Saturday, because we like I'm pretty sure you tell everybody who listens to this thing, More Heart runs pretty much every race all weekend. So Saturday we did the Beast, and I had my two favorite people as my break and my horse. They're a husband and wife team, so they don't always verbally communicate with each other. They have signals that they use. Well, the thing about the wife in this pair is she's the horse, and she has a lot of giddy up in her step, and sometimes we'd hit a hole in Central Florida, and she wouldn't have time to signal because she couldn't even see the hole. That's how thick that sawgrass is.
Yeah, especially the first day in the Beast, you're out there and it's all still standing grass. It's not knocked down yet. Whereas Sunday afternoon for the sprint, it's all pretty much knocked down and you can see more of it.
Yeah.
Asheville, that's a little more hilly course. Was there a lot of side hill and stuff? Because I know that's been one of the toughest things when I've had an athlete out there that's in a chair. That's physically demanding for them.
It was, and it was hot because Asheville's in August, so was hot. It rained that week too. It was muggy. Uh, the cool thing about Asheville is I have family that lives in the area, so I knew what the area was going to look like so I could mentally prepare myself for those up and down hills that we were having to deal with all weekend.
Knowing the area probably makes a big difference for you.
It does.
At the beginning, you said you're a personal trainer. Is that something that you still are doing and working with some other athletes?
So I am not active right now because I'm looking for a job, but that has been something I've done. I've been certified for 3 years, and the last year of that, I'm actually certified as an adaptive trainer, so I can help other athletes like the athletes we run with.
What are your plans for 2025 look like right now in the obstacle and street race, or what do you got on the docket?
So far I've got the two races there are two races in Atlanta in March. So one is the kickoff for our Spartan or not our kickoff for our Spartan season. Uh, it's our second race for Spartan, and then the very next weekend I have Tough Mudder Atlanta, which is going to be special because it's the anniversary of my first race ever, but it's also special because I'm doing my first toughest mutter that weekend.
And that's
Um,
That's a 12-hour, as many laps as you can event, correct?
Correct.
So
So
for 12 hours, you're going to be sitting in the chair, probably walking a little bit, but just going up and over obstacles and just trying to really punish your body and see how many laps you can get in, right?
exactly. One of our other teammates convinced, didn't really have to convince me, but she's like, "Hey, you've done enough of these now. Let's try this." And I'm like, "Okay."
It's a hard sell, it sounds like. And then what do you got after that?
And past that, I'm not sure. I know I'm going to try to come out to the West Coast and run with you in September. That's the plan anyway. And like I said, I'm looking for a job right now, so it'll kind of have to depend on.
There's a chance because I need to get a chair back out here on the West Coast, so I might be at Toughest. I'm still trying to work out and see if that detail is going to work into my plan for this year. I don't have a, I don't have a lot of room for East Coast travel, but at some point I got to go pick up my chair because we brought it down there for Dalton, and I need to get it back up here so I can get going on some more races up here.
Yep.
So there's a good chance that you're going to see me down there. I'm guessing at the world's toughest mutter. Sorry.
Yep.
The little bit that I got to hang out and talk with you, man, it's been just amazing kind of listening to your story and seeing how you interact with people. You know, you're always just a great attitude. Growing up, was it difficult for you, or is it just kind of you're always just a happy guy?
So that's a yes and no question. Yes, in the fact that I was born with my disability. It didn't hit me later in life like a ton of the athletes we work with. So being in my wheelchair is all I've known. No, it wasn't easy because there again, I'm the odd duck out. I'm the oddball. All the guys that were my age that were playing soccer or t-ball or going to Boy Scouts, I couldn't do that stuff. I very quickly found adaptive sports. I played flat hockey for 3 to 4 years. I played wheelchair basketball for 2 to 3. Right. So all the typical sports stuff that all your other typical able-bodied athletes get to do, I didn't get to do. On top of that, I was a military brat, so I'm moving around. I moved 6 or 7 times before I was 18.
That probably makes it worse because you're having to meet everybody in a new school and you're in a chair and they don't know how to even converse with you because 20 years ago it wasn't as openly spoken about as it is now, I guess.
Exactly. Life got even further complicated when I went hit high school because my parents divorced when I was 16. More Heart Than Scars talks about those unseen scars that we all have. So I have the physical scars that are seen, and then I have those unseen scars that we all deal with.
Those unseen scars are actually sometimes harder to deal with than the ones that you can see.
They are very hard to deal with.
So, in 6 months of running with More Heart Than Scars, you've kind of found a new family.
I have, and it's even more relevant in this chapter of life right now because, like I mentioned, my parents divorced when I was 16. So from 16 to really the last couple of years, it's always been me, my mom, and sister. But they have both moved to Florida in the last couple of years. So now I'm living with my grandfather, which is awesome. but I don't have that family unit around me as often as I did. So I talk to team members every day almost. They check on me. They make sure I I'm doing okay. There's actually a bunch of us who live in the Chattanooga area where I live. Two or three of us go to the same gym, so we see each other. So that's really cool.
So,
Be, people laugh at me because I'm wearing my team gear all the time, and I'm like, this isn't just something. We're not just a team when we're on course. We're a team 365.
yeah, I think you just hit it right there. We're a team 365. My first year that I competed with More Heart Than Scars, I actually went out and got the logo tattooed on my arm because I knew that this was something for life for me. This was a life-changing group.
I'm working on that.
The one I'm actually wearing on my chest is the one that's on my shoulder, and it was kind of an ironic story because when I went to Atlanta back in, I think it was 21, 22, nobody told me that they were going to have a knighting ceremony and knight me when I was there. But I had already made the appointment to get my tattoo when I got back. So that entire race, I was out on course trying to make sure that my left shoulder didn't get cut up or scratched. So I'm sitting there just running my right shoulder into anything I had to and just keeping my left shoulder free and clean. And then at the end of the weekend, Erica called me and Andrew over and had us kneel and knighted us. And that was a heck of a ceremony. And then to come home and get the tattoo like the very next weekend.
Yeah, obviously I haven't been knighted yet, but I had a similar experience at nationals when we because for anybody who doesn't know, everybody on the team has a nickname, and you usually get that nickname because you do something stupid, just like a military call sign. My nickname very quickly became Pickle Juice because that weekend I showed up with a gallon of pickle juice in my rice bucket because I am one of those. I've run 5Ks and 10Ks pretty much half my life, and I know that you're gonna cramp up. So the easiest way to get rid of cramps is pickle juice.
Pickle juice and mustard. And just so happens that your initials are PJ.
Exactly.
So pickle
So,
juice it is. Outside of racing, what do you kind of do to pass the time? What do you do for fun?
so I'm obviously in the gym a lot. I typically go with a buddy 3 to 4 times a week. And then I'm also hanging out with my church family a bunch because outside of my family and the team, my faith is very important to me. I wouldn't be where I am without my faith. I love watching football, college, pro, anything I can get my hands on. Yeah, there's a lot of watching sports going on, a lot of audiobook listening and stuff like that.
And say, I think I took you away from a bowl game today. Is there one going on right now, or is it in between games right now?
So I think Texas and Arizona State is still on.
Is that who the championship game is? Is those two?
No, because it's college football quarterfinals,
Uh,
so it's a quarterfinal game.
it's funny because like when I talk to Roger, another member of the team, he doesn't stop talking if you bring up football.
Yeah, I met Roger when we went to Central Florida, and everybody's been telling me you better be ready when you meet Roger. You better be ready when you meet Roger. And I didn't know what they meant. I found out really quick.
I love that guy. He's great. He's the lock screen on my phone actually because one of first, my first Central Florida race, I went and was his chaperone throughout the whole race. And
Uh,
Zach brought the shield. And I don't know if you've seen the shield. It's about a 15-pound steel plate with more heart than scars welded onto the front of it. And somehow I ended up with that shield for about 13 of the 17 miles of the beast. And someone took a picture of Roger and I standing there with me holding the shield and the American flag and Roger, and that just kind of was a great picture, and it still to this day is my lock screen on my phone.
so the funny thing about Zach is Zach was at my first race, but I have yet to meet Zach.
That is funny because we flew Zach and Joey out to California to meet Mariana and do her first super together back in May. So that was kind of cool.
Yeah.
And of course, you got to meet her at Central Florida, and she's just a hoot.
And she is. So I actually had to help her around the house Saturday night because you weren't there yet, and the rest of the team went out to dinner, and I was in the shower because my mom and sister were actually coming to meet me, so I knew the team was going, but of course Mariana's deaf, and they forgot to tell her that they were leaving. So I get cleaned up and everything, and all of a sudden I hear her struggling in the kitchen because she couldn't figure out how to start the microwave or turn the lights on for the dining room. So I'm having to uh, lip read and do all that stuff to try to get her what she needs. So her and I had a fun weekend on a lot of levels.
I think that's really cool. I mean, you both have CP, and of course, it took her hearing also, so it's a little bit tougher for her. But just with hand signals and stuff, you can kind of figure out what she wants, and that's
Yeah.
and one of the favorite pictures that Joey put up for the year was you and her, and I actually love that picture too because I think that just kind of exemplifies what we do here at More Heart Than Scars.
It is.
What would you tell people who want to get into this sport or that want to join up with the team More Heart Than Scars?
So that's another two-part question because I am always the guy who's been, "Hey, you want to throw something at me? Throw something at me, and I'll do it." I mean, I started life on a respirator. I shouldn't be here, but I am, and so I've always looked at life as okay. My life's a little different, but I'm gonna take this challenge and run with it. And OCR is no different because every sport I've done, it's always been me against somebody or me against a clock when I'm doing like normal 5Ks and 10Ks. You're always striving to beat that clock. OCR, you're not striving to beat anybody but yourself. And that obstacle. So if you, the only person who can tell you you can't do it is you. You're the only one who's gonna set yourself up to fail or set yourself up to succeed when you're on that course. And as far as joining the team, like we said earlier, sometimes you have physical scars, sometimes you have scars you don't want to talk about. Like, um, in Central Florida, it was the 3-year anniversary of me contemplating suicide. That's something that I haven't really talked about until I got around the team. I mean, there were people who knew, but there weren't people I felt comfortable talking about it with. Being around the team and realizing I wasn't the only one who's had that struggle helped me talk about it more. Uh, and then we don't judge anybody. So if you're afraid of being the slowest or being the person who slows us down, don't, because we're all out there to work together. It's just like in Central Florida, we had the VA wave for the veterans, which was really special to me because of the family ties I have. And some of them were like, we've never done this before. We don't know what we're gonna do. And we're like, that's okay. That's why we're here. We're here to do through that place. We're not gonna not finish just because you don't know how to do something.
Yeah, and that VA wave is something that's very special to Dan, the Spartan Chief of Staff. He's the one that organized that with Oscar, Mike, and Joey, and every year that is, it just about brings you to tears, just being in that starting line and going through the crowd and just acknowledging all of those veterans that are there with physical and mental scars. I mean, some of them were there, you couldn't see their scars. Some were missing limbs, a couple were in chairs. But they all served our country, and we're trying to honor them the best way possible by giving them opportunities that maybe they thought they never had.
So it was emotional for me because 3 years ago my dad passed away, and we didn't have the greatest relationship. But through all my athletic stuff, he's always been one of my coaches. So OCR has really been the first thing I've done by myself. Um, and without a family tie or a family member right there with me. And one of his job in the Navy was a Navy medic. So he worked Marines, and one of the Marine units he worked with, makes me an honorary member. So in Central Florida, when we're going through that line of Marines, at the beginning, I'm like, those are my brothers. Sign up, get me ready to go do what I do. And I had my dad's name tape that was on his uniform in my pocket for that entire race.
I did not know that, and that's pretty awesome that you honored him that way.
So, and that race was also pretty special for me because I got to race with Dan. Dan was in my section of the group, so he got to see what I could do, and that was really cool for me to show somebody from Spartan who's been so close to the team what an adaptive athlete can actually do if you give us the tools to do it.
It's awesome. And I still love that hat. Every time you kind of look down and you see that hat, kind of makes me jealous. I'm a hat man. I've got probably 200 hats around here, and I don't have that hat, so I might have to message Julie and see if I can figure out how to get one.
Yeah, Julie'd be the person to ask. Um, Everybody picks on me all the time because I'll either be in a Spartan t-shirt or a team t-shirt or this one while I'm at the gym, and everybody's like, why do you always do that? And I'm like, it's a conversation starter. It's the conversation started. Like I need to text Joey in like the next week because I've got a couple guys who might want to come race with us next year, or this year. So it's been really cool just in the short time I've been with the team to see the impact that we can make even when we're not on course.
Yeah, and that is true. Myself, I do the same thing. I'm usually wearing some form of Legend Born sportswear, and it's usually either Beast Net or More Heart Than Scars. I've got a couple from the championships from previous years, and I'm always wearing something to talk OCR. And a lot of it, I've probably got 20 different shirts for More Heart Than Scars because that's the one that I wear the most.
Well, and everybody laughed at me after Central Florida because I got my first trifecta at Central. So I was carrying around my trifecta for like 2 or 3 days everywhere I went. Um, and everybody would go, "What is that? What is that? What is that?" And I was able to tell them, "Hey, this is the highest form of accomplishment you can get in Spartan," and I got it in less than.
Then you've got that Spartan helmet that I gave you, right?
I do. I actually have a funny story. When I got back, my grandfather, who I live with, who has really who doesn't really understand why I do OCR, and especially when I didn't have a job to pay for stuff. He's like, "What are you?" So it was always me explaining to him why we do what we do, and then when I get home, it's like 9:30 Monday night when I get home, and he's like, "Hey, I need you tomorrow Wednesday to count your medals and tell me how many you have because we're gonna hang your medals up." So my trifecta helmet is hanging in our kitchen over another picture that I have. And then I've got all my Tough Mudder medals, all my race medals up and down the hallway leading to my room.
That's pretty cool. It's kind of like a shrine to your accomplishment, which is just a lot of accomplishment, really, to get out there and tear up these courses like you've been doing.
So it was really cool, and it really meant a lot that from him going from 2 days before I left for Central going, "You could go to Irish, let's hang your medals up." It was cool.
Now that is a really cool turnaround for him to recognize your dedication and the accomplishment involved in doing this.
So, and I can only imagine what I'm gonna do with a full season.
Yeah, 2025 is going to be quite the season for you. We just need to get you employed so you can travel more, and maybe next year, the following year. Didn't you say 2028 you wanted to go up Kilimanjaro? Is that what the plan was?
I think that's what the plan is. Because for anybody who doesn't know, our race director Joey takes a group up Kilimanjaro every year. And about every year he tries to make sure he has an adaptive athlete. And we were talking early this year that I'm scheduled out till 2028, but in 2028, if you want to go, let's go. I'm like, don't have to ask, tell me when to book the plane ticket.
There you go. That's going to be a lot of fun. Hopefully by then I'll be freed up. It's unfortunately it's always the same week as the Seattle trifecta weekend, so that's why Joey's never got to come up and do that race with me. And I guess I can give up that race 1 year so I can go up to the tallest freestanding mountain.
Oh, wait, I just thought of something. If that happens, I might have 3 trifectas by the end of the year.
That's true, and you'll have some Tough Mudder bling too.
Because Atlanta's a trifecta weekend, and if I go to Jacksonville, I'll have 2 parts of the trifecta already. So,
Mhm. Yep. And then if you go back to Central Florida and pull off another trifecta weekend and
yep.
see your mom and your sister, and
And next year in Central, I want to try to pull the entire weekend. I didn't pull the entire weekend this past year because I didn't need to. And you know the story behind what went on behind the scenes. We were losing teammates like water that weekend, so we didn't have as many bodies as we normally would have to handle Jay.
But as we always do, we adapt and we make it work, right?
Yep, we have some other awesome teammates over at Oscar Mike who helped us out that weekend. So we got it.
Awesome. So to kind of close out the show, is there anything that you'd like to tell people, or what you would say to people who are thinking about getting on course, that maybe this will be the thing that gives them that last little nudge to get out there?
So, like I said earlier, the only person who's gonna set yourself up to fail is you. When you're on course, yeah, you'll have thousands of other people on course with you, depending on what race you do. Um, but it's gonna be life changing. Any way you look at it. Um, if you like getting muddy, go the Tough Mudder route. If you like staying semi clean, go Spartan route. If you don't care, uh, do both. They're both fun, and you get to learn so many different things from uh all the other stuff. And people ask me how I train for Spartan and Tough Mudder, and the answer is you can't train specifically for those because you may know what the course is gonna look like, what the course layout might be, but until you actually get there and see it, you're not gonna know, and that's the exciting part. So if you're wanting to train for it, just train like you normally would. Maybe throw in a little extra cardio or a little extra weight training, but train like you normally would and just go out there and have fun.
Yep, man, I'd say do a little more grip strength stuff, because that seems to be the one that gets a lot of people's grip strength.
And if you're a rock climber like I am, you're gonna have a lot of fun with all those.
Awesome. Well, I want to thank you for coming on today, Pickle Juice. It's been a lot of fun, and like I said, this will probably air in about a week. And it's going to be a great year this year, and I look forward to seeing you, hopefully both in April and in September in person.
Yeah.
Mike, Hammer, and Don, or whatever.
From BeachNet.
We're just all up here and, all apologetic and hanging out in our igloos. Don't be such a hoser, eh?
We don't bite hard.